my advocacy narrative was whatever you want to build, it already exists. So let's find someone who's built it. Let's test it. Let's understand if it's going to give you the value you think it's going to give you. And then we can decide if we want to scale it or we can then after go do our own thing and build ourselves from scratch.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Lomitech, and sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and Birthright Excel. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Today I'm joined by Sandiso Sibisi, Open Innovation Studio Director of COOi Studios. Sandiso is an innovator and entrepreneur with over 10 years of experience in technology consulting. She is the former head of Open Innovation of Africa at Accenture and has led tech implementations, data strategy, cost reductions assignments in the consumer goods sector. She is the founder of COOi Studios, an innovation lab for corporations. Amongst other accolades, she is a Sustainable Development Goals Ambassador, Mzansi's 100 Inspiring and Aspiring Leaders, a Play Your Part Ambassador with Brand South Africa, an Inspiring 50 Women in Tech, and a Mandela Washington Fellow. Welcome, Sandiso. Sandiso Sibisi, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders from Johannesburg, right?
Yes. Cold Johannesburg right now.
Well, I'm in very hot Tel Aviv, and so I think we're balancing it out, and it's really great to have you here, Cindy. So I think that your work is really interesting. Your journey is very, very interesting, and I'm excited to hear all about it and all about the positive impact you've made. Today, you're Open Innovation Studio Director for COOi Studios and Open Innovation Studio Lab. You're the founder of Born to Succeed, helping women as a nonprofit. I believe you're helping over 120 women. Really amazing. You're also the Open Innovation Africa lead for Accenture, amongst other incredible positions. And so a lot to talk about, all the way from Africa as an ecosystem to women empowerment to innovation with corporates, really tackling some amazing problems. So Sandiso, how about we get started about where you came from and how you began your journey into the tech ecosystem?
So I'm actually from a very small town, but I think I'm a big city girl now. I cannot imagine myself in a small town anymore. Richards Bay it's called. And then I went on to Potchefstroom High School. That's another, like KwaZulu-Natal, another province in the country. And then I moved on to my university was Gauteng. Gauteng is the province where Johannesburg is. I did my varsity there at university. I did a Bachelor of Commerce, but focusing on IT. So I did a little bit of coding and lots around systems. And then after that, I did, and then I joined Accenture actually. But in my last year of my studies, Accenture was actually my sponsor. They gave me a scholarship to complete my last year. And I joined them thereafter. So yeah, I was mentored by them, at least in my last year of work. So when it came to like the interviews, I think I did pretty well because I had a mentor there for a whole year. So that was very helpful. And in Accenture, what did I do there? So I did lots of work in consumer goods. SAB Miller as former clients, Tiger Brands, another FMCG in South Africa. I did some work in financial services as well. And then I moved on from there to do, and then, I mean, in that time, I did lots of like generic like technology consulting, but I always knew I had a greater purpose. So I wanted to help young girls. And then I started the Born to Succeed Foundation as like a side gig after work sort of thing. Helped a lot of girls get employed, educate them around employment. And then from there, I moved on and I did development work at Accenture with the Accenture Development Partnerships. And I think for me, that was where I actually learned about, running a business or, doing really senior level sort of work, because ADP, Accenture Development Partnerships, allows you to be your own boss. As such, you create your own business line, your own structures and everything. And I learned that. And then after that, I was head of open innovation for the African continent. very exciting role, very, very challenging. Innovation in any corporate, even if it's a consultancy, is just like the most challenging thing. And yeah, and that's basically my humble beginnings.
Tell me about Accenture sponsoring your last year of university. How did that come about?
So I'd actually applied to Accenture like to before I finished my honors, my fourth year. So in South Africa, you can actually get a job with the 3-year qualification as opposed to other countries. So I'd actually applied, and they actually declined my application. But I was so determined to work for the best technology consultancy. I was like, I'm not going to work for anyone else, even though I had other offers. And just by fluke, I came across, and my parents had told me that we don't have any more money to pay for university. So they just paid for the first 3 years. And then when I was looking for a scholarship, I came across the Accenture one, and then I applied, and then I got it. Literally, that's how I got it. Yeah.
And so within Accenture, you're the Open Innovation Africa lead. And you're bridging the gap between innovative products developed by startups and the needs of Accenture's corporate clients. Now, is this specifically in Africa? Is this globally with Accenture? What does that mean to be the Open Innovation Africa lead?
I wish I was this role. I wish I knew what I know now when I started. And I think it's because we're building the role as we go along. But primarily, it meant that I had to encourage the business Accenture people, consultants, and our clients to not build products from scratch. There's a tendency to want to build stuff from scratch, but my advocacy narrative was whatever you want to build, it already exists. So let's find someone who's built it. Let's test it. Let's understand if it's going to give you the value you think it's going to give you. And then we can decide if we want to scale it or we can then after go do our own thing and build it ourselves from scratch. That was like what I was trying to do. Like I said, very challenging. The corporates are very skeptical about working with startups, putting trust in startups. So, half the time I spent explaining how capable a startup was, not the client problem, but rather the capability of an entrepreneur, as opposed to actually shaping the solution.
Now, one of the things that I'm always really excited and inspired in this show is hearing about the positive impact that leaders are making in their own communities. And with Born to Succeed, over the last 8 years, you're working with women, with young unemployed women in South Africa, helping hundreds of women so far. Tell me a little bit about what led you to start Born to Succeed. How you're even thinking strategically about running this program.
Yeah, so I think at that time when I started, it wasn't even a strategy, just the desire to want to do more for the country. Just having a normal job wasn't enough for me. I know consulting is not a normal job, but I wanted to just do more as an individual. And in South Africa, I built it based on a response to the high unemployment rate, and it's specifically around young girls. So what I wanted to do was help them transition from unemployment into work. So I used to lobby for them. So go speak to corporates and say, we've got 5 girls. Could you consider them for an internship? Give them work experience for 3 months. I will find another donor to pay the internship, but you just have them in the workplace and let's get them experience. Also just negotiating. A lot of young girls get into financial difficulty at a young age. They open credit cards they can't manage. And therefore, if you're blacklisted, you actually can't work for a financial services institution. So my role was to go and say, we have trained these 10 girls on financial literacy, and now they have a better understanding of how to manage finances. Although they were blacklisted, we have taken them through a program and put an intervention for them to know better. So could you give them a chance? And we'll continue to mentor them. And we saw the desire of corporates to come on board and then to actually give those girls a chance. So that was basically my role for Born to Succeed.
Very, very cool. And as you're continuing with Born to Succeed, and you're thinking more critically and more strategically about about the unemployment of young women in South Africa and where the ecosystem is heading. What did you learn tangibly as a leader throughout this initiative, whether it be personal lessons for you, professional lessons that young women across South Africa can already, put to good use, other leaders of nonprofits can leverage?
I think I learned how to ask for money. When you have an NGO, you have to like kind of do that every day,
Right.
and you need to not be shy about it. You're not asking somebody to give you a loan to buy a pair of shoes. You're asking somebody for money to give a person an opportunity of livelihood. So I think you need to be like bullish about that and ask people for money. So I got very used to asking people for money. And I think became a very good fundraiser because my team would then just carry out the work. I had a lot of volunteers on my team. So that was probably the biggest lesson I learned. And I mean, 10 years later, I have my own enterprise. I'm not necessarily asking for money, but I'm selling a proposition that COOi is going to offer a specific company. And so I'm able to sell and ask them to bank on us and trust us to deliver the work for them. So I think that time at Born to Succeed set the very foundations that I needed to learn to actually start my own business. And I guess also just being resourceful, right? So NGOs don't have a lot of money. So you just learn to make do with what you have actually. And I think I'm running my startup in a similar manner. We run on a very, we're very pedantic about costs and we try and save every penny. So I'm applying those principles as
Very,
well.
very cool. And so let's transition more to innovation and COOi Studios and how you're thinking through rapid prototyping, corporates. I guess there are some things that are similar in nature to your work with Accenture, right?
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, so actually, I built COOi after the experience I had at Accenture. I think at Accenture I learned a lot, right? But Accenture is a really big organization that does, hundreds of things, Um, open innovation was just like one of them. So you can imagine in the pyramid how far down you are in the line, and also it being new. So when I left Accenture, I decided to open my own studio actually, not work for another house that or consultancy. And that's how I transitioned into COOi Studios. So I wanted to do more of what I was doing at Accenture, but fully just like 100% on that. And I think I was also at the stage where it was just time to just start my own thing. Although I had Born to Succeed, I'd say was a soft landing. It was social entrepreneurship. And I think there was a greater calling on my life to actually be a full-time entrepreneur and just trust that God is going to provide for my every need. And I mean, he's been so wonderful. I'm so lucky, like, to have this enterprise. I mean, we're only like 2.5
Wow.
years old, and I think we're doing really, really well. We have about 4 large clients as an organization, which I think is brilliant for given also that we started a year before COVID, right? So I'm very proud of what me and the team have achieved. And I'm looking forward to doing so much more with what we've built
Very,
already.
very cool. Tell me a little bit about your experience now working, with corporates and innovation over the last 2.5 years. What has that been like for you?
So actually, they're more open to it. I think it's by and large because a lot of corporates are strapped for cash or
Yeah.
trying to do things in a like economical manner. So with Accenture, I didn't have the flexibility to do things 100% my way because you're working within a corporate environment. Whereas at COOi, I'm able to look at things differently and negotiate with clients and find various pricing models that actually work for them and their financial constraints, but also I'm able to do what I love. So I think that's been like quite surprising. I would say in the first year though, there's a lot of waiting that nobody told me about. So eventually my friend who's been an entrepreneur for a while, he said, you're gonna drive yourself crazy waiting for the client to respond to your email. So just go and study, like find a degree to study. So then I signed up for a master's in innovation studies at Wits University, and I'm currently finishing my dissertation right
Wow.
now. But that was sort of like not so much as because I need the education, but it was like just something to keep me busy. But it was strategic as well because I did a master's in innovation studies. So I was currently studying what I'm actually working on. And also, if you think about my peers, my classmates, we're all looking to join the innovation space, interested in innovation space. So just my corporate network as well also grew from that opportunity. So I'm very lucky that I'm doing my master's in actually innovation studies, what I'm currently working on, and also building a business in innovation. So I think I've just got the best of both worlds. I just am crossing my fingers now to just finish my dissertation, which is so hard. Yes.
Where do you see your personal growth the most in the last few years as you're understanding corporates better and you're working with corporates?
I think patience is probably the biggest lesson I've learned. I think as young people, I think we're quite impatient. It's not, I mean, it's just, I guess, our nature. We want things yesterday. It's this whole instant gratification thing. I've had to learn to be patient and to not pursue things because they're going to give me some sort of instant gratification, but rather do the long journey, you know. So it's always funny when I meet a client and my team and we have a great conversation. So my team is like, okay, so when are we signing the deal? I'm like, oh my gosh, if we spoke to them today, prepare yourself for a 6 to 9 month sales journey. And people don't understand that. They think that if you meet someone today, you'll sell a deal today, but it takes time. I mean, when we got Nestle as a client, it took about probably almost 12 months to close that deal. But that's just, you know, the sales game. It's a long journey. So
that makes a lot of sense, you know, 100%. And, you know, I think that understanding the mindset, it's not just about how to sell it and understand the value proposition for the corporates, but it's also understanding the mindset, understanding the importance of relationship building and everything that comes in between. Now, Sandiso, I want to take you back a little bit to your childhood. Before Accenture, before university, you said you came from a small village. What were you really fascinated by as a child, as you were sort of roaming the world?
So my parents are very entrepreneurial. Okay. My mom was a nurse full time, but she also did wedding cakes after hours, did catering for events. My dad was a videographer, so he'd take videos of people's weddings and birthday parties, but he also had a full-time job as an HR director. So I think my parents just always just showed me that you need to have, I think, 2 sources of income. So I learned the entrepreneurial spirits through them, like just going above and beyond the call, not just relying on one check. And so that was probably the foundation. And I think growing up, my parents were very strict on like conduct. So that I guess that's helped me be disciplined as I grow. Finish what you started. So always having to finish the plate on the food. I know it's a small lesson, but if you teach your child to finish the plate on the food, you're teaching them how to, you know, finish what you started. And then, and obviously, as people are dishing up the food, you say to the person, that's enough. That's enough food for me. But if you don't say it in time and you ask for more and more and more, you must finish that plate because you asked for that plate and don't waste that food. So I think I'm very big on finishing what I started. And I think that speaks to my discipline. I was very intrigued by computers. My dad bought us a secondhand computer from work in 1994. So when I got it, it was a desktop, you know, I think it was MS-DOS, and then a year later, Windows 95 came, and then we were like on it, you know, and then we got the internet shortly, the telephone connection one that used to go, like make those noises. So I remember all of those. I just intrigued by computers. And I remember I used to be obsessed about the Spice Girls. So the Spice Girls, you remember back in the day, we had this thing called like chat rooms.
Yes.
And you could like join in and like wait for a celebrity to come on. So I used to like sit there and wait for the Spice Girls to come on. So I've just always been interested in just like what the computer could do. We used to have do people's birthday cards digitally at home and stuff like that. So I've just always been into computers, I guess, and then that's how I transitioned into doing my information systems qualification.
Very, very cool. And today, what really inspires you in your day to day?
I think it's my team currently, because we've built a team that I think is going to pave the way forward for COOi Studios. People that are eager to learn, eager to grow, want more for themselves. I'm very excited with what the work we're doing right now and just their dedication. I think they inspire me, and I wanna make them proud by selling the work so we can deliver the great work, do the great work. So that's pretty exciting. So and just developing young people. Part of my work is obviously finding startups that can help corporates solve their problems. So I'm also helping entrepreneurs, meet their targets and meet their goals and grow as well. So, if you look at my life, it's very clear that I've always just been a connector of, higher level to lower level people, finding ways how they can work together and then, breathing value from that. So I think that's always been my role. And I did it in Born to Succeed. I'm doing it at COOi Studios. And so I'm very excited with how all of the dots are connecting. My favorite commencement speech is the Steve Jobs one that connects the dots,
Yes.
So I feel like my life is the dots are actually connecting.
I love it. Thank you, Sandiso. And what are 3 words that you use to describe yourself?
I'm a lot of fun. I know I don't look it because I work so hard, but I'm actually a lot of fun. My friends and I actually went. My friends and I went to Maldives just a couple of months ago, had the time of our lives. So very, very happy. A lot of fun. I'm very, very spiritual, extremely, extremely spiritual. And I just want to, I want to leave a mark on this earth. I don't know if so it's probably fun, spiritual, and mark. I love it. Which means I want to leave
Sandiso, thank you so much. This was fantastic. Thank you for the great work that you're doing. And thank you for the inspiration. And this was really great. I enjoyed it. And stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.